Hi, thank you for joining me today on my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious protein-rich meal on a campfire. Not just any campfire. We're actually going to be using the grill that we built last week for this video. So you're going to see it in action. On top of that, I'm also going to show you for the first time how well the Lockhart skillet from Lockhart Ironworks does over a fire. Now, I've cooked on a lot of different steel skillets and I've cooked on mostly cast iron at home, but I've tested this skillet in my home kitchen and it's done really well. Generally, when I take my steel skillets outdoors and I put it over an open flame, well, eventually all my steel skillets tend to warp. So I'm interested to see how well this skillet does under the same conditions. So what are we making? Well, we're making fried eggs, because, you know, to test out a skillet and how well it sticks and everything, that's how you do it, right? You gotta fry some eggs and see how well it does. We're going to be frying some bacon, and we're also cooking a delicious sirloin steak. So it's definitely, like I said, protein-rich meal, and I think it's going to test various things. For the bacon, see how well it fries up. I like my bacon pretty floppy. I don't like it crispy. So, you know, that's how I'm going to cook it on the skillet. It's going to be the base. It's going to give us the oils to fry the egg and the steak. And it's going to give a delicious taste to both. All right, let's get started. These are the different things that I would suggest that you use for this particular recipe and this particular project, if you will, because we are cooking it on our grill that we made. We have to take some precautions. In fact, you should take these kind of precautions anytime that you cook over an open fire. We do have our pail of water here. That way, in case things get out of hand, we can quickly put things out and you know, everything's safe. We also have our plate. This is what we're going to dish out our food. We have our cup here, and this again is just to dip out some water in case we need it and put it in small areas. We have our Lockhart skillet. Now, if you have not seen my unboxing of this skillet, then you should watch that video at the end. I'll put the link in the description below, along with Lockhart's website, in case you're interested in checking it out. They also have a YouTube channel, so I suggest that you swing over there and check them out too, because they show you exactly how they make this skillet. We have over here the different foods that we're going to use. We have our bacon, we have our sirloin steak, and we have our 2 eggs. We have our spatula for the eggs. Over here we have our cutlery, and we have our spices. Now, since this is a historic channel, I made this type of treenware container for pepper and salt. As you can see, P for pepper and S for salt, and 2 corks at the end. We're going to keep it pretty basic and pretty simple. And think about what you would want to take outdoors on a hike or at a camp out, especially if it's backpacking. You don't want to take a whole lot of stuff, so having just a small container like this for your spices is pretty handy. Normally, I like to cook over coals, but for this, we want to make sure that the skillet is hot enough to sear the steak when we get to that point. It doesn't take long, as you can see. The last time that I oiled this with lard every single time that I get done using it. It's already heating up. So now we can go ahead and put our bacon pieces on it. Now, whenever you put something in a skillet, you want to make sure to lay it so it's away from you. Hear that sizzle? Like I said, it doesn't take very long. And in case you're wondering where this bacon comes from, it's my own local butcher shop. My town village has a really nice store, and they sell locally raised animal products. So this is from our backyard, essentially. How long does it take to cook bacon? Now, this is completely subjective. It's up to you and your personal taste. Like I said, I like it floppy, and since we're cooking it over a fire, we're not necessarily cooking over a medium heat like in the kitchen. So after about 3 minutes, I always take the bacon and I lift it up and see what the coloration is below. You want the fat to be somewhat translucent. You can see here that's already getting to that point. As we flip it over, we can see that this is starting to turn brown. Perfect. One thing I love about Lockhart's skillet, in comparison to the skillet that I generally use in my kitchen before I got this, I normally use cast iron, and cast iron does a great job. I don't have a whole lot of complaints about cast iron, except that it takes quite a bit longer to heat up evenly. Steel skillets, because, well, the nature of the beast doesn't have the air pockets and everything to insulate, it doesn't take quite as long. Now this skillet is almost as thick as my cast iron skillet. So it holds the heat really well and it evenly cooks. We can plate that and you can see, boom, bam, we're done. Now occasionally you want to go ahead and lift your skillet up to keep coating the pan with that grease. That way it doesn't get too dry on you. Let's take a look at this one as we flip it over. Ah, perfect. Look at that. Awesome. Bet you this one's not too far behind. There we go. 3 beautiful pieces of bacon ready to eat. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put this grease in our cup. That way we can save it if we need it. Just like that. Now we have our saved grease. Now's the test. We only want just a little bit of oil on the bottom. We're going to remove it from direct heat. And the reason why you may be wondering, why do we remove it from the direct heat? Because eggs cook fast. Now we have our egg, we have our spatula. I don't like to crack it on the side because that leaves kind of a mess that I have to clean up later. So I'll take my spatula or some other item and I'll crack the egg that way. So now we have our salt. What I would suggest is you take your salt and you put it in your hand and you just pinch it and rub it. That way you don't get too much. Just enough. And put the remaining salt back in your little container. And cork it up. Now with pepper, just a little tap. Does it. As you see, it doesn't take long for the eggs. Now, let's see how non-stick this is. I have only seasoned this skillet once. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful eggs. Nothing stuck to it. Came right up. Now, of course, depending on if you like your eggs dippy or hard or sunny side up or whatever, you know, that's personal choice. I like my eggs, what's called around here in Ohio, dippy eggs. All right, let's test it out. Boom, bam. Look how squishy that is. Boom, bam. 2 beautiful fried eggs. Okay, now we're just going to put a little bit of that bacon grease back on to coat. Get that all over the bottom there. Now this bacon grease is going to do a great job to also flavor the steak. It's going to be a fantastic meal. Okay, so what I do for my steak, normally when I'm at home, not out in the field, I'll actually brush melted butter over it. Since we're kind of doing this like we would if we were out in the woods, we're going to put a little bit of salt. And that salt's going to bring out that delicious flavor. We'll do that on both sides. Now remember, the bacon grease is also going to be fairly salty. So you don't want to put too much. Now our pepper, we're going to be a little bit more liberal on it. It's completely up to choice, you know, however you like it. Now, I am going to throw this directly on the skillet as is, and then I'm going to pepper it while it's still on the skillet. This is going to give it a nice sear. Don't be afraid. Put just a little bit of grease on as you go. Okay, so I like my steaks medium well, to medium rare. I like it to have a nice ribbon of pink in the middle, but I don't like it rare. I also don't like it well done. So we're gonna let that go for about a minute. You can kind of take a look at the side and see how the color is changing as it goes. Now, in case you're wondering, this smells amazing. Okay, now we're gonna flip it over and sear the other side. Now, this is not an inch piece of steak, so this is going to cook quite a bit faster than you would, you know, a thicker piece of meat. You can use the same type of cooking style for just about any prime cut of meat. So if you are a hunter and you're out and you do get that deer, then why not take a piece of your nice kill, season it up, fry it up this way, and you'll have a fantastic breakfast or a dinner fit for a king. And if any of you are looking for Father's Day ideas, this would be a good one. So while our steak is finishing up cooking, if you've liked this video so far, if you found it interesting, please do me a favor and go ahead and click like. That way other people find it. And if you're interested in Mr. Lockhart's skillet, check out LockhartIronworks.com, and the link is below. Like I said, this skillet has done a fantastic job. It's great in the kitchen, and once we get done with this piece of meat, we'll see if it's warped under the heat. If it did, well then you know. But if it didn't, then what an incredible Father's Day gift, or a gift for your family, or a special gift for yourself, because this thing is amazing so far. All right, I think that should be enough. So we're going to take that, we're going to put it on our plate, and we're going to let it rest for just a few minutes. I know it's going to be hard to wait, but we should let it rest for about 5 minutes to 10. That way the juices has an opportunity to redistribute throughout the meat. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the bottom of the skillet and see if it's warped. If we look dead on, I'm going to try to tip this kind of slow so you can see if you see any type of divot. But I can tell you from my perspective, it has not warped at all. It has done a great job. And the best part, cleaning this thing is going to be a breeze. And I'm going to show you how to do that next. You're getting a 2-for-1 today. All right, let's see how well I did. Look at that. That is awesome. Now, if you're wondering about the plate that I'm eating on, this plate actually came from my World War II officer's mess chest. There you go. Pink in the center. Just how we like it. Normally, like I said, I use butter on the steak. It helps hold the spices in, but it also gives it a really delicious flavor. And I think, maybe it's just up in my mind, but I think it kind of tenderizes the steak as well. But cooking it with the bacon grease. Oh, that's so good. And you can see the bacon is still kind of floppy, like how I like it. Let's see how it did on the eggs. If we were to open that up, look at that. Delicious yolk. Now, some of you might not like this. In fact, you might be kind of grossed out that I'm doing this. But again, it's a testament to Mr. Lockhart's skillet and how evenly it cooks, how well it distributes, everything, namely the heat, right? But I've only seasoned that skillet once in my oven. Now, of course, I coat it with oil after I clean it up after every time, just like you would cast iron. But in my previous cast iron experiences, I would have to put coats upon coats upon coats upon coats of oil, maybe Crisco or lard or whatever that you choose. It takes a while to fill the pores of cast iron. That is not the case with this skillet. I did it once. Now, in full honesty, Mr. Lockhart also seasoned it once in his forge. According to the instructions, again, at the end of this video, you can check out the unboxing of this skillet and everything that was included. You definitely want to take a look at it. But to Mr. Lockhart's credit, I am so impressed. I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to use this. And we're going to continue using it on the channel. So check him out. Now, if you didn't watch my update video about partnering with Mr. Lockhart and Mr. Kwap of Alberta, Canada, this fall, I'm going to do a series on comparing the Nesmith tools, woods tools, like his knife, his hatchet, and Kephardt's woods tools, his knife and his axe or hatchet. And that's going to be a series from the fall throughout the winter. I'm going to put those woods tools to the test. So if you're interested in woods tools and that kind of thing with bushcrafting or camp crafting, then you definitely want to hit subscribe and the notification button, because on this channel, we do stuff like that. And we take a look at artifacts like World War II mess chests, right? I show you and we talk about the history and everything like that. Okay, I'm going to finish eating this and then I'm going to show you how to clean Mr. Lockhart's skillet. That way, when you go camping or if you're using it at home, you know how to properly clean it and how to season it. That way, next time, it's going to perform just as well as the previous time. All right,